Good morning, everybody, and aloha. Welcome to Just Talking 24, page 44. Lot been going on, yeah, this week. I hope your week was really great. Hope your Halloween was safe and that you got a lot of goodies and you didn't get too stupid. But that's what Halloween's all about, right? All Hallows Eve. It's almost as bad as April Fool's, All Fool's Day. But I want to talk about so many things. I thought I wanted to talk about my favorite game. In fact, I'm going to talk about my favorite game growing up in grade school. My favorite game, believe it or not, was called the telephone game. And I know I've spoken to you, this before. And that was where we got our classroom, and the teacher would have half the people stand on one side, the other half on the other side. And in those days, we had upwards of 40 people per class. So doing that was viable. I mean, you could do it and actually have enough numbers. And what she would do was she would go to the first kid in line, in each of the lines, and she'd whisper something into their ears, like big yellow dog. Okay? Yeah. I mean, really simple. And what the person would do is what you think you heard, you whisper it to the next person, and so on, so on, so on, so on, all the way down to the end. And what was so funny was that I don't remember it ever working out where what she told the first student became what the last student said. And it was so funny. I really enjoyed it, but it was an exercise in communication. That communication isn't only spoken, it's what you hear. It was to teach us a lesson that we didn't know and we didn't understand it. But she would, and it was fun. It was fun. But it's not so much fun today. Cause I go, I watch a lot of YouTube and I watch a lot of X.com, Elon Musk's old Twitter. And it's amazing. It's frightening how people mix things up. But then look at, let me talk about the shutdown, okay? Why not? Because it's in the news, it's the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the shutdown. And then, Chuck Schumer, who is supposed to be the top Democratic senator, he's the head, and he's going around and he's saying, we'll talk to President Trump, anytime, and we'll negotiate and everything. Well, you know why he says that? Because it's bullshit. Okay. Back in grade school, I learned very very oh it's busy this morning. It's like 3:30, but it's it's a Saturday morning, so everybody's going. But back in grade school, we learned that the U.S. government has three sections. Okay, three units, three branches. They are judicial, legislative, and executive. Those three. And the reason for that is called checks and balances. In other words, we don't trust you. There is no trust in the United States government. Even our forefathers, they didn't trust the population. That's like coming out of democracy. We're with federal republic. Yeah, there's this whole country is built on distrust. What are the first thing they say? Trust us, trust us. But that's why you have checks and balances. Because humans are humans. They're gonna try to get, you can try rip. Not everybody, but the majority. Remember, when I talk the norm. Okay, yeah. If you can get away with it, you will. Okay, because hey, I speed. I go down this road at 27 to 30 miles an hour. It's supposed to be 25. Hey, I speed all the time. But anyway, so they made these three branches of government, which Mr. Schumer, or Senator Schumer, is of one of the big wigs of one of the branches, which is the legislative. So either he's playing really stupid or he is really stupid. But the legislative branch is responsible for the budget, not the president. The president has absolutely no power making a budget. What happens is the legislative branch proposes a budget. They negotiate and everything. We're going to spend this much. They're going to spend this much. Now, after the budget is approved, it's sent to the White House, to the president. He looks it over. Now, say your mom gives you $5. Okay? So that's what the U.S. Treasury gives him, $5. And then your brother wants to spend $8. Okay? So the the legislature comes with a budget that's over what we're going to, over and above. And you say, no, that's too much. Go back, reconfigure it so that, we balance the budget. Now, it goes back to the legislature. They don't have to renegotiate it. All they need is a super majority, which is 2/3 of the House and 2/3 or 67 members of the Senate. They get that many votes to pass the budget. It goes back and they go, no, you spend it, you spend this. The president will has to do it because his veto has been overridden. We learned that in grade school. Come on, folks. It's not rocket science. And so why is Schumer even pointing toward the president when he knows that, well, he should know because he's a senator, that the president doesn't have the power to negotiate. He doesn't have the power to do anything like that. He just is he's a worker. He's just a worker, really. When you look down, if you take off all the complexity, you kiss the president, he is just a worker. We elected him. That means we paying him to do this job. That's all. He's a worker. He's a public servant. He occupies a very high post, but he is still a public servant. And he is obligated by the Constitution. He only can do certain things. And that's the way they did it, the 3 different branches. But the Democrats love doing that. I told you so. This is why I don't like to get political, because I'm going to tell you the truth, whether you like to hear it or not. Okay? Our unions. I grew up in a democratic environment. Unions is everything. Unions run this state. So right now we have a strike going on by our nurses at certain hospitals, and they want higher wages and better staffing conditions. Okay. Well, this and they point out that the union points out that because our nurses aren't making what the mainland nurses make, which may be true, but they don't tell you what the mainland nurses make. They don't tell you what the nurses make. When I left healthcare in 2018 now, my nurses were making $56 an hour. And that is if you were a critical care nurse, you was a med-surg nurse. If you were an RN in our facility, you were making $56 an hour. Folks, on a 2,000 hour a year job, if you do the math, 56 times 2 is 112. You're making $112,000 a year. On holidays, you figure it out. On holidays they make double time and a half. Yeah, double time and a half. So you go to 56 times 2, that's 112. Then you go half of the 56, which is 28. So the 112 come 138, 140. They're making $140 an hour. right? $140 an hour, and they do that for 12 hours. They're making about $1,500 a day. Pretty good day, right? But they're not making enough money. And when we negotiated contracts, okay, I was with the rank and file, with the nurses' aides, the LPNs, which means it's not licensed practicing nurse, it's low paid nurse. LPNs, the some of the techs. And when we negotiated our contract, you know what we would get per year? 2% raise. 2%. You know what the nurses got? 6%. Now, when you're making $10 an hour, 2% comes out to 20 cents. Okay? 20 cents. When you're making $56 an hour, 6% comes out to almost $7. 20 cents, $7. Fair, yeah? But they want more. They want more. In Hawaii, we have a saying, and I'm sure everywhere in the mainland there's a saying like it, and it's champagne tastes with soda water money. And Hawaii is no exception. We want we want Dom Perignon, but we're willing to pay for Pepsi. And that's the kind of ideal that my healthcare workers had. They want the best. I said, well, what you willing to give? The number one thing that we had, that we didn't have, was continuity. My gang was not willing to strike. Once you put the word strike, you strike fear into these people, and they don't want to strike. That's why when we went to negotiations, I would tell them right off the bat, we're going to get 2%. They're going to cut down, this is going to be cut, this is going to be cut, this demand is going to be buffered out to this. I would give that all before negotiations even began with my committee. And we go through the negotiations, and the negotiations, how it works in Hawaii is you go to a neutral negotiating spot. And we have a place down by the airport called Hawaii Employees Council, run by the state, totally neutral. Yeah. But anyway, the union goes there, and then you get the representative from the hospital. We'd go over there, we sit down, and we have negotiations. But I would tell them beforehand, we meet beforehand, and what we're going to go through today. And I tell them, okay, this is what you guys are going to expect. And 9 times out of the 10, I'll be right on. And they go, how did you know? And I told them, because it's a done deal. It's a done deal already. That's all we can expect, because you guys not willing to strike. That's the only thing administration going to understand, is when you strike. See, we had more power than nurses. The nurses, they come in, they get, they'll bring in what they call travel nurses. The travel nurses will do, you're not going to get as good a service as you would with the regular nurses, because the travel nurses don't know the full operations and everything. But I mean, you get adequate, medical care. I don't think you get that negligent care. That's with nursing, because nursing is pretty set. But, and I told him that we are the support. If we go out, this place crumbles. If we strike, this place will give in to us. You just got to get together. You just got to do it one time. Nope. They refuse to. They're scared. And everybody knew that. I mean, the workers, they don't want to admit it. Okay, it's not, they don't really appreciate their fear. But management and the union do, and they know they can go into there with preset conditions, And I wouldn't doubt that the union and the management already went in there with the preset conditions. This is what we're going to give them, and it's all a show. Because right now, at my establishment, the place that I used to work at, they they pay union dues, but there's not even a shop steward. Yeah, there's not even a shop steward. When I go back there for, and I'm going, because I go over there for procedures because I know the place. So I'm comfortable, for x-rays and blood tests and stuff like that. And I see the workers. And the workers, they tell me, when you coming back? I'm not coming back. I mean, right now I can, my knees are gone already. I had so many operations on my knee. I've had four. No, three, excuse me, three operations, two replacements and a patella tendon replacement. My knee is gone. I have no right knee. So I don't have endurance. I don't have strength. I just don't have a right knee except to connect my thigh with my shin. But I said, no, excuse me, I'm not coming back. And they go, but it's so bad. I said, yeah, it was bad because you guys not willing to fight. You like everybody fight for you. Because I tell it like it is. And the old timers know this. That's why they like me. Because I may not tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And I will back you. If you just go up there and say the truth, I will back you up. I'll do my best I can with what I got. And we'll come with the best outcome that we can possibly get. That's the way I was. But they can't find anybody like that. And you do it for free. You don't get paid. When you're a shop steward, you don't get paid. And I was secretary of the unit, which is I have to keep I have to keep all the notices. I have to make sure communications and all that is kept up between the union and the rank and file. And that's your responsibility. And you do all of this for free, And they don't understand that. They don't see that. Nobody's willing to do it. Nobody's willing to take on their responsibility. And it's sad. And they pay their dues every month. Yeah. The nurses used to laugh at us because we paid more dues than them. Really. You making 3 times what I'm making, but you paying less in, the dues. Well, what can I say? Is because these people will just let the unions just walk all over them. So I'm kind of glad because now with this Trump thing, with this shutdown, the local news is saying, is telling us, well, how bad the snap, because 42,000 or something in Hawaii. Anyway, how bad the shutdown's going to be from November the 1st. But not once do they blame President Trump or the Republicans. And they sure as hell will not blame the Democrats, whose fault it is. It is the Democratic Party's fault. And the Democratic Party is playing a very dangerous game, folks. They're banking, I think. Okay, this is my only humble opinion. But they're banking for the November 5th midterm elections. They were hoping to gather more seats so that they can get power again. Right now, the majority power, which is 51%, okay, that's majority power. So that's for everything else except like passing the budget, you need 60 votes. Well, the Republicans have 53. But something tells me that after this midterm, we might have more. But, no, we're not, because I don't think any senators are up for re-election. I think it's all either House of Representatives, mayors, stuff like that. So it's the minor players. But enough in the House of Representatives to sway something, to force something. But no, they shot themselves in the foot, and they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose seats instead of gather, and they don't know what to do. There's nothing they can do. They relied on the stuff that worked before, the misdirection, the fear, the protest, all this stuff, the big bark, but people catching on. People say, nah, you guys all bark, no bite. And people are trying, finally seeing some of the truth, whatever little truth we got. I got people that, they're coming out and they're still blaming Trump. Okay. Or they're blaming ICE. These guys are federal workers, they're only doing their job. But ICE is wrong. Why is ICE wrong? You know, the leaders are showing it, and the people are wising up, which is really a great, it's a great thing to see that these people are finally coming around to their senses. President, and I wanted to share this with you to get off the subject. Remember last week I was telling you about there was no ballroom. You would think that they would put a ballroom in the White House. I stand corrected. That East Wing, that was the ballroom. It was called the East Room. It's not a ballroom specifically designated to be a ballroom. It's a utility room. It's a large room that they use for different purposes. They use it to hold, gatherings, to hold events, to hold weddings, to hold funerals. It's just a huge, it's not a huge room. I looked into it, okay? Let me give you the dimensions. This room is 80 feet long. Get the numbers now. 80 feet long, 37 feet wide. Okay? Now, these are just numbers. Okay, let me point you to the basketball court that Obama made. And he didn't make a basketball court. What he did was he reused the tennis court, the White House tennis courts. He had it repurposed to be a basketball court, and more of that to follow. So anyway, this basketball court that he made is 78 feet long. So 2 feet shorter than the ballroom or the East Room. So 78, but 1 foot wider. Yeah, it's 38 feet wide. That's a regulation basketball court. Okay. If you do the math, the East Room is 2,960 feet. Square feet. 2,960. The basketball court, 2,964 square feet. So a basketball court is 4 square foot bigger than the East Room. So that tells you how big the East Room was. Okay? The room that President Trump, I couldn't get the exact measurements, but it's estimated, it's proposed that it be 90,000 square feet, or 30 times the East Room. That's how big a structure we're talking about. That's the size of ballroom that President Trump wants to construct, and he's going to pay for it out of private contributions. Yeah, it's not costing us a penny. Okay, it's going to be put on public land. It's not for President Trump. It's for the United States government. It's like the plane that the president got. They call it the president's plane. No, it's not the president's plane. It's the United States government. It's a gift to the United States government by Dubai. They're giving him this plane. So what did he say? Thank you. Well, this is the same thing. He's going to make a room worthy of accepting and supporting events in there where you have dignitaries with a lot of people, crowds in there. You can go up to, well, it's estimated up to 1,000 people will be able to go to the functions. Now that is what the United States of America is supposed to be representing. That kind of size. Yeah, 90,000 square feet. So to me, that's just the addition to last week's talk on the ballroom. I stand corrected that we have a ballroom, basketball court. Yeah. But Obama's basketball court. I was trying when I found out how big it was. Regulation. Okay. How much did it? Okay, if you're gonna just repurpose one a tennis court, that's cheap. You just got to reline it, right? You sand it down, and he said, and it said that they sprayed it with a acrylic finish because I guess, I don't know, maybe the finish wasn't smooth enough, whatever. Because I played outdoor courts, and in Hawaii, our outdoor courts is asphalt. That's all it is, just like one street, just like a street, but you play on it. We've changed the surfacing since then. They put a green acrylic filler on it. But anyway, okay, so they sanded, however they prep it, and they redo this, they resurface it and reline it. Now, how much could that cost, right? I can't get the price that what Obama paid. It's report and the low ball is 7,000, which I really doubt, and the high ball is 1.6 million, which I don't really doubt, because that's how government, that's how the government works. We had a middle school, Kwananakoa, and they had a new gymnasium built. Well, this gymnasium, I don't know what it has in it, but it took over 2 years to make a gymnasium. And I don't know what it costs. But that's a typical Hawaii government construction job. Look at the rail that we've got, this fixed rail coming in. Originally, it was going to be 17 miles and cost $4.2 billion. Well, it's costed over $9 billion, and they're not even halfway there. Does that sound familiar, California? That's the Democratic way. That's the way we grew up with. And while money was coming in from Washington, because thanks to Senator Inouye being the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, we could spend that kind of money. We comprise, I told you, 0.03% of the population. And we was getting big bucks. Well, our military, for one thing, and because Inouye channeled a lot of money. Well, now that tap is closing, and we hurting, and they're trying to blame Trump, but it's not. They got to blame themselves. And like I said, the news won't say it. It's the Democratic Party's fault. They won't. It's so neat. And that's why I don't like to go political, folks, because I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. And I knew this from back in the 70s. But before time, all this was underground. It was covered. You saw the roses. You saw the flowers, and and the blue skies. Well, guess what? The rubbish, or as we say in Hawaii, the kukai, feces, kukai, is coming to the surface because, it floats. The log floats. Like the Tootsie Roll bar. Okay. But anyway, that's what I had to vent this week. And, for a person who says doesn't like politics, right? This is why I don't like politics, folks. So come on, give me ideas. Please please subscribe, and please give me questions or ideas what I can talk about. Please. I know I got at least one person out there, that watches it, I hope. Well, tell your friends. Like, subscribe. And hope you have a great week. Get that turkey mentality going. Try your new recipes. Yep, homemade cranberry juices and cranberry sauce is the best. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great week, and I love you all. And be safe out there. And all I can say is ahui ho, malama pono, and of course, from me to you always. Aloha. Bye-bye. See you next week.